Destiny has been around for 9 years, and there's some content creators that have been around since the very beginning. One of those being True Vanguard, and in his most recent video, it's called Goodbye Destiny. It's been great, so we're gonna jump into it and see what TV's up to. What's he going on to? What's going on in the True Vanguard world here? That's a spicy intro right there. I like that. I like that.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know
Fire
my
sound
voice,
too.
It's not perfect. This is the best I felt in days, though, luckily. Like, my voice was totally shot for several days, but woke up today feeling a lot better. But I do apologize if it sounds a little raspy. But I want to talk a bit about sort of prepping my community for Starfield's launch and kind of where I'm at right now with Destiny. I think my plan right now is I'm going to be sort of transitioning away from D2 for the time being. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which I'll get into in a minute. But it's not going to be like cold turkey. It's not like, hey, we're officially done with Destiny 2. But the content, because obviously I've got like 3 or 4 videos that are already in the works, projects I'm working on. So I'll wrap those up for sure. And I'll probably continue to cover stuff that's like really easy to cover, that's not like long form content. You know, if Xur were to bring something that is definitely a buy, you know, that you guys got to know about. I don't do a lot of Xur content, but when he brings something I think you really got to have or want to know about, I'll cover it. Same thing with the gunsmith. I don't do a lot of gunsmith videos. I think I've done like 12 in my life.
As a side note, if you want to be a Destiny 2 PvP content creator, you gotta take notes after True Vanguard. You're gonna need an entire rack of whiskey. You're gonna need a lot of alcohol in order to force yourself into playing Destiny 2 PvP on a regular basis. That might not even be enough alcohol. You might need at least 3 or 4 times that amount of alcohol to force that on yourself. So
if he has something that's a banger, you know, and I want to let you know, that sort of content is probably gonna stick around. But in the next couple of weeks, especially, you'll probably notice it start to taper off a little bit. And in terms of what's next, I mean, Starfield's definitely going to be the next big thing that I focus on the channel for an extended amount of time. You know, Bethesda RPGs are really what made me want to get into content creation to begin with. It wasn't Destiny. So I'm excited to sort of explore that, and I feel pretty good about that. You know, some of my Starfield content, I've got like 4 videos out already, and they didn't pop off or anything, but they generated some decent subscribership, new people to the channel, and that's kind of cool to see. So I'll stick with that for sure. I'm really excited about Starfield, and I will September 6th is when that launches, and we'll go hard for a while on Starfield. So expect that for sure. And I have had some success with variety content in the past. I mean, I have like a separate channel that I don't promote anywhere that is variety stuff. And like over the holiday season, like Christmas time last year, posted a lot of grounded content. Some of that stuff actually performed pretty well. You know, 20,000 views on a channel that I don't promote. It's just the YouTube algorithm takes it. It's got like no subscribers. So that's cool to see. I've had Division 2 content here on this channel, my main channel, really pop off. Like one of those has like 600,000 views or something. There was like a First Descendant video that had about 300,000 views. So I know that variety content can take on the channel, so I'm not too worried about it, and I'm excited to explore it. But as far as me transitioning away from Destiny 2 content, let me talk a little bit about why. And that's probably what most people are most interested in this video to begin with. And I've talked exhaustively about a lot of issues in Destiny 2 with the PvP landscape, especially in the last couple of months. There's a lot of my content out there, so you already know how I feel about a lot of these big ticket items. So if I were to oversimplify it and boil it all down to you know, a couple simple truths, I think I would boil it down to ultimately, I don't think I'm Bungie's target audience for this game anymore. I think the direction that they're choosing to go with PvP is away from like dedicated PvP players, and that's their right. It's their game, their product, and any direction they want to take their game is their choice. So I have to just sort of be okay with it and you know, resign myself to that fact. And I don't think that I'm their target audience anymore, even by their own admission. Some of the mechanics and matchmaking systems that they've implemented, they've literally said, I'm not putting words in their mouths, this was in a TWAB, where they said, if you're a high skill player, you'll feel the negative effects of these systems the most. I mean, they said that, they knew it. It was an intentional choice they made, that they wanted to focus on the more casual audience that's just sort of going to come in and go away, and come in and go away, you know, and interact with PvP on a much more limited basis. They really wanted to focus on them and making sure they had a fun time. And I'm not saying whether or not I agree with that choice. I'm just saying that is detrimental to my experience, because my connection quality's gone down. My queue times got doubled, in some case tripled. You know, I have actually shown on the channel, just to prove a point before, a 7 to 8 minute queues where my ship is just sitting there in orbit for 7 to 8 minutes. I'm just like, okay, just losing time over here, you know what I mean? So that's like truth number one, is that I'm no longer the target demographic for the game. So obviously I'm probably going to want to transition away. Truth number two, Destiny interest is at like record lows right now. Like even with Destiny 2's launch, you know, my PvP content got viewed more than it does right now. I mean, you have banger videos every now and then. It's not just exclusive to me. I look across the landscape at other PvP content creators in the Destiny community, and their views are taking serious hits right now because since Bungie's not infusing PvP with new stuff to cover, they have to get like really creative just to make content to put out there at all. And interest is much lower since there's nothing for people to engage with anyways in PvP. They're not going to YouTube and typing in the search bar for PvP stuff very often anymore. And so your viewership takes a hit. And if your viewership takes a hit, your income takes a hit. And if your income takes a hit, you need to start reassessing, is this where I should be with my content? And right now, Destiny interest is so low in my small sphere of it, right? Just the PvP bubble, the interest is so small right now that I just don't realistically know that it's a safe bet for me to bet on Destiny PvP for the future of my content, since my content feeds my children, pays my mortgage, it's the sole income for my household right now. So I need to also be a little bit strategic about it, and sometimes abandoning ship isn't because I hate the ship or don't believe in the ship. It's because I'm not sure that the future of the ship is something I want to bank the security of my household on. And that's kind of where I'm at with Destiny. I just long-term, Bungie hasn't done anything recently that makes me believe that I can bet on Destiny 2 PvP. And, you know, does this mean that I think Bungie's, you know, slated to fail with Destiny 2? Absolutely not.
One point that I think is really interesting about that is that I've said this for a while about Destiny, and again, it's just my personal opinion, my personal experience. I was once a PvP exclusive content creator. I only played trials. I logged in on Friday to play trials for 10 to 12 hours, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then I didn't even I would barely play a little bit on reset, take Wednesday off, maybe even take Thursday off. Didn't care about the TWAB, nothing, you know? Like that's the PvP, hardcore PvP style, you know? That's what you know, the PvP crowd do even now to this day. Like that's like the GernaderJake style, right? Like that's what he's doing. That's his content model that he's created, you know? I used to be exclusively that, and then I transitioned over to covering the news and covering more Destiny knowledge and more PvE stuff. And in doing so, it really opened my eyes. I'm like, holy, this game is so much bigger and so much better when you fully embrace the PvE. It's just a personal opinion, but I think if you play this game like it's a PvE game and you occasionally jump into PvP, you have such a better time. You have such a better time. And those that don't, those who like to stick in their niche, that's okay, because you're allowed to just play the game however you want. There's some people that log in and they're just like, I love Gambit and I'm gonna play Gambit and I don't care about raids. I don't want to do any raids. I want to do dungeon. I don't care about solo in the dungeon or any of that. I just want to play Gambit. My thing is Gambit, and that's fine. And other people do PvE only, and other people do PvP, you know? Of course, it's always, you're gonna get so much more from the game when you play everything that's available. And for whatever reason, there's a pretty solid group of people that just play PvP and they don't care. They don't give two shits about the PvE in the game. And I was in that group for a long time, many years. But once I finally was pulled out of that and kind of saw the other side of it, I was like, whoa, the PvE side of things can be really fun. And so I don't blame people getting burnt out or choosing to leave, especially when their niche is specifically in PvP. And it's not to say that the PvE is popping right now by any means. The game as a whole is feeling pretty flat right now, and that affects all viewership, whether you're a PvP or PvE content creator or whatever it may be, right? All viewership is getting affected to some degree. So it's not to say that the PvE is just the best, but it definitely, you know, you're gonna get your burnout rate, right? Your burnout rate, like they were talking about with Bungie recently, your burnout rate is much faster if you only specialize in the one niche. And so, you know, I could see him being uninterested in the Destiny 2 PvP, and hopefully this stuff works out really well for him, and variety is awesome. I mean, obviously, you know, other people have done the same. MTash left. He's playing some other games. He's done very successful, and many other content creators as well, but I only reference MTash because I know that he's good friends with TV.
I think Bungie, I would be blown away if Bungie never righted that ship eventually. Even for PvP, I do still, call me an optimist, I still think that they're going to bring it around. Because historically they have. But I'm just not sure how long that's going to take. And in the meantime, I got to make content. So that's reason number 2. Reason number 3, the game's just not fun. It's not fun for me anymore. And there's a lot of contributing factors there. I had a long play session this morning, and that sort of just solidified things for me. It's just more of what I was expecting. You know, I'm always going in hopeful, and then coming out of my play sessions a little dejected and feeling uninspired. Lots of mercy rules, lots of mismatched lobbies. The very last match I played, we got just blown away. Just blown away. 2 people on my team are in the bottom 8% of control players.
No.
Meanwhile, you've got anywhere from silver to platinum on the other team for elo. And of course, these poor guys got obliterated.
That's funny. That's literally just lobby balancing. They're like, hey, you true Vanguard, you know, you play the game a lot. This is literally his hobby and his career, right? To some degree. And so he plays a lot, and then it punishes him with that lobby balancing.
Totally obliterated. Why were both of them on the same team? There's only 2 people in that whole lobby that were, 800 elo and below. Why did both of them end up on the same team? That doesn't make any sense. Would you want to split them up? And beyond that, if we have a skill-based matchmaking system, why were they in that lobby at all?
Yeah,
Not to mention it was disjunction, which also kind of sucks. But the matches are horribly mismatched very frequently these days. I had a match today where we got mercy ruled, and I did the best on my team with a 0.5 KD. Died 2 times for every 1 kill that I got. We got mercied 85 to 15, and I was the best player on my team with a 0.5 KD, which is horrible. That's horrible. And, the rest of my
Hey, what are you saying about 0.5 KDs? All right, hey, take it easy. I'm just kidding.
Team is below that. The enemy team had one guy was 4.5, one was a 6.0 KD, one was a 3.0, one's a 3.5 KD. Just completely, you look at that and you're like, how did the game ever think that this was going to work any other way than it did? But things used to be much more fast-paced and chaotic in nature in PvP. I mean, people used to pop off. Whether it was me or another guy, it didn't matter. But usually there was somebody who was like 35 kills, 40 kills, sometimes 50-plus kills. Just frags out, has the game of his life, you know what I mean? And there's a combination of factors there. One is variable skill levels in a lobby, I think, leads to more dynamic matches. Also, the sandboxes back then allowed for things like that. The sandbox we have right now is pretty one-dimensional. It honestly is pretty one-dimensional.
You mean Immortal? You want to swap up and use the Strand SMG, Immortal Adept?
And we've been in it for a long time. So that makes things even more boring and even more predictable, too. Nowadays, that stuff doesn't happen. If you're popping off nowadays in a control match, that means you got 28 kills. And you're like, dude, baby, I was fragging. You know what I'm saying? The maps nowadays are also, in my opinion, I think they tend to play slower. We don't have as many chaotic matches anymore because we have fewer chaotic maps that come up in the rotation. We used to be playing on Retribution. Cauldron and Anomaly were in the control rotation as well. And so every now and then you had that dichotomy of you had a bigger map, but then you'd go to a small map, bigger map, small map. And so that kept things getting mixed up a bit. Right now, those smaller chaotic maps, they come up so infrequently, and we know that Bungie weights their maps in the rotation. That's tailor-made. They don't all have an equal chance of showing up. So like today, I got Disjunction, I got Altar of Flame twice, I got Rusted Lands twice, I got Eternity once. It's just a ton of big maps with longer lanes and less fast-paced chaotic gunfights. And those are the things that I think, they lend themselves to much more engaging gameplay. It's just more fun when it's chaotic like that. It's more fun. And beyond that, PvP, obviously, this is a no-brainer. I think PvP needs more content.
Oh yeah.
If it's gonna survive and thrive. Needs more content. New maps regularly, new guns regularly, new armor regularly. And all of that got backslid. And again, this goes back to point number 1. Bungie made a choice about the direction they were going to go. They had set up a precedent where originally, in a year, you'd get 3, 5, sometimes upwards of 7 brand new PvP maps in a year. And then we came down to 1 new PvP map in 3 years. So you understand how, without them communicating to us that was going to happen, now you understand why the PvP community has been scratching their heads for so long. It's like, you didn't prep us for that. In fact, what they would say is the opposite. More's coming. Hey, stay tuned. Hey, we got exciting PvP stuff coming down the pipe. That's all we ever heard. And then so for them to change that standard so drastically overnight with no communication left a bad taste in a lot of players' mouths. So that's obviously a big part of it. So, you know, not having new maps. As far as new guns go, we used to have like a pinnacle weapon, then they downgraded it to a ritual weapon, and then they downgraded that again. And this goes overlooked a lot. You know, it used to be when the ritual weapons first started coming out, there was one specifically for PvP. It was the Crucible ritual weapon. And then they downgraded us again, and they said, you know what, no, PvP, so Shaxx and Gambit with the Drifter, your ritual weapons are just going to be the same as what Zavala's has.
Yeah,
so you're just going to get a huge downgrade for yours. So then we got downgraded again.
I never even thought about the de-escalation of, you had pinnacle weapons, which were just like basically exotics that were legendaries. It's so much fun, so powerful, a little bit overpowered, mountaintop, recluse, but you know. Then we had the ritual weapons for each playlist. And now the ritual weapon is just the same one with the different like ornament, right? For that is a huge downgrade. That's unfortunate. Definitely drives people further away from PvP.
That took away a lot of incentive to play PvP. They tried to revitalize a little bit of that with like Rose and the Mercurial, but the Mercurial is just not a great sniper in general. Rose was a great hand cannon, don't get me wrong, but they flopped on the delivery of the competitive playlist, so that sort of tarnished that as well. But outside of that, like having full vendor of refreshes isn't a thing that we've had recently for PvP either. And that includes armor sets. I mean, we've been sitting with the Cinder Pinion set forever now. So in my experience, if you want to jumpstart something, if you got something that's like tapering off and dying, what you need is to jumpstart it with, overwhelm its system with a ton of energy, right? Take, for example, your car battery dies. What do? You jumpstart it, right? You got to get somebody, you got to hook it up to another car, another battery source of some kind to shock your battery to give it a ton of energy up front, because an object will tend to want to stay in its current state. So you need to overwhelm it with energy to change its state.
And that's what they were doing with the first season. With Trials, they were doing that with the first season of Trials after the new expansion, like the Witch Queen. And then the first season was the Trial-specific season, and where they would do the overhaul, give us the new armor and all this new loot and stuff. But now, we don't get that. Now, technically, next season, we are getting a new Trials weapon and a reprise hand cannon. But I don't know if that's enough to, like he's saying, like to jumpstart the momentum of PvP right now. I don't think so, but it's something. It's enough to maybe keep them going, but we'll see.
So you shock that battery with a ton of energy so it can start back up, and then you unplug it and let it slowly recharge itself over time after you shocked its system. Same thing with a dying person. Their heartbeat stops. You don't just like put a little bit of electricity into them. You get the defib out and you shock their heart with a ton of energy to boost it. That's where I think they need to be with PvP if they want to see it, get revitalized. Is right now they seem like they just want to trickle some stuff into it. They'll be like, okay, slowly over time, we're going to unvault a couple of maps here and there. We'll give you a brand new map maybe once a year. Emphasis on maybe. And the first one's going to be Disjunction, which isn't going to go over well. So we're going to give you a Rose. So it's just a whole lot of trickle feeding. It's not...
That's actually a good point, which we did get. We get one map in its Disjunction. I was about to tweet this earlier today, but I was like, maybe a little too spicy, but I don't know what happened. I'm not trying to insult the current Bungie devs, but I swear they took all the good Bungie devs and they put them on Marathon, and they left us with the B team. We got the bunch of goofballs. They forget to even put the Adept loot at the freaking Lighthouse chest like this week. You make it to the Lighthouse, you open the chest, and there's not even any loot in it. Like, we've got the B team, we've got the interns, we've got people they don't even know. They probably don't even make video games. They just grabbing some people off the street like, hey, you're a Bungie dev now. I swear, like, we've got the Plan C team. We've got the goofball team for sure running shit. Like, it is bad. And I think that they're like committed. They're like, oh, we've had enough success for so long that we can kind of get away with a lot. And it's starting to work against them though, because the game is starting to feel really flat and really dry. And we definitely need a revitalization. We need a season of over delivery. We need a season of content, for real, especially for PvP.
Not shocking. I think if they really want to revitalize PvP at some point in time, and I think they will eventually, but at some point in time, what they need to do is be like, boom, with this content drop, you're going to get 3 new maps, right? And a lot of emphasis gets put on modes too. I've never thought that they needed to overly focus on modes. That's like a tertiary thing to me. So that's not primary or even secondary to me. I think they've got plenty of modes.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that anymore. We do not need any more modes in Destiny 2. We've had plenty of different modes. We've tried so many different things. We have modes that have fast pace, medium pace, slow pace. We got it all. We're good mode wise. Just give us some maps and give us some weapons to chase for. We don't need any more modes. We're good on that front.
That work just fine. But
once in a while, a new mode.
Primary issues are we need new maps to play on to keep things fresh. We need new weapons and armor to chase, and we need the matchmaking systems and sandboxes to feel good and fun and dynamic, not slow, boring, stagnant. So if they can jumpstart PvP with overwhelm it with a whole bunch of new content, that would get things up and running again, I think, and then they'd have to sustain it. But all this to say, I just don't think it's a safe bet for me to bet on Destiny PvP for the home of my content moving forward. And is this mean, TV, are you never going to come back to Destiny? Dude, I love Destiny. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doing this because I hate Destiny. In fact, I think there's probably going to come a day where they're going to do enough work to the Destiny PvP experience that's going to feel good again. I just don't know when that's going to be. And I've been waiting for years, and I'm just not sure it's a good play for me to continue waiting. So, if and when that happens, yeah, I'll probably be back. I'll probably cover more Destiny in the future, right? This isn't I quit. This is I don't think I can keep doing this right now video, right? So all this to say, I just wanted to sort of warm you up to this idea that I'm going to be transitioning slowly away from Destiny. It's not cold turkey. It'll be over the course of a few weeks as we start gearing up for the launch of Starfield and covering that exclusively. I don't know how long that'll last. Obviously, it's an RPG. There will be DLCs that come out as well. So hopefully, I know that I'll get at least a full month out of it. I'm hopeful that I can get maybe 3 months out of it. Would be pretty cool to me. But I will play it by ear. Thanks you so much for interacting with my content. I do really, really appreciate you guys.
Well, there you have it. Best of luck to TV on his next adventures. Godspeed. Hopefully he has a ton of fun playing. Was it Starfield? A lot of cool games out there to play, actually, though. Well, at least there's no shortage of that. Let me know your thoughts about all this down in the comments below. Very sad to see a legend in Destiny leave, at least for a short period of time. Hopefully they'll be brought back when Bungie finally decides to show some love and TLC to PvP in Destiny 2. That's a wrap on this video, though. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed, and click on the screen here to watch another video from this channel. I'll see you in the next one. Later.